The bell above the bridal shop door chimed as I pushed it open. The sound tasted as bitter as the lump in my throat. Through a forest of white, tulle, satin, and silk, I spotted my sister, Emma, twirling in front of a three-way mirror. Our mother dabbed at her eyes. "Oh, Emma," Mom gushed. "You look absolutely perfect." The wedding dress probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. Of course it did. She'd paid for it with my money. "My name is Sarah Mitchell," I reminded myself, and 2 weeks ago I'd discovered that Emma had drained my savings account, $78,000, to fund this dream wedding. The money I'd spent years saving for my future was gone, siphoned off in a series of unauthorized transfers while I was on a business trip. "How could you, Emma?" I kept my voice low, conscious of other customers browsing nearby. "That was my entire savings." Emma turned, all innocence and practiced charm. "Oh, come on, Sarah. Don't be so dramatic. I'll pay you back. Eventually." She smoothed the intricate beadwork on her bodice. "You know how important this wedding is to me. To all of us. Important enough to steal from your own sister." I said. "Steal is such an ugly word," Hannah, our mother, sighed, studying her reflection. "I prefer to think of it as borrowing. You would have said no if I'd asked, and Jason and I need this wedding to be perfect. You know how his family is." "Ah yes, Jason Reynolds, fiancé, heir to the Reynolds fortune. Old money, old names, old expectations. The kind of family that would look down their noses at our decidedly middle-class background if the wedding wasn't appropriately lavish. Are you seriously okay with this, Mom?" I asked, turning to her. She was suddenly fascinated by a rack of veils. She hesitated, eyes down. "Emma did say she'll pay you back, and this wedding is such a wonderful opportunity for her, for all of us, really. The Reynolds family has so many connections." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Then again, maybe I could. Emma had always been the favorite, the pretty one, the social butterfly who could charm her way out of anything. I was the responsible one, steady, hard-working, careful with money, while Emma flitted from one expensive whim to another, always supported by our parents' indulgence. "You're going to the police, aren't you?" Mom asked, voice small. Emma's sweetness curdled into something sharp. "That's why you're here, to threaten me." I met her gaze in the mirror. "How did you even get access to my account?" She shrugged, the beads on her dress catching the light. "You really should change your passwords more often, Sarah. Using Mom's birthday for everything isn't exactly secure." Her casual confession made my blood boil, but before I could answer my phone buzzed. I looked down at the screen and felt my anger shift into determination. The text was from Marcus, a private investigator I'd hired after discovering the theft. "Got what you needed. Raid meeting at 2 p.m. to review findings. You have until the wedding to return my money," I said, slipping my phone back into my pocket. Emma raised an eyebrow, suspicious of my sudden calm. "Then why are you here?" "To let you know I know, and to give you a chance to make this right." Emma laughed, a tinkling, brittle sound. "Please. You'll tell Jason? He wouldn't believe you over me. Nobody ever does." She was right. Emma had always been the better liar, the smoother manipulator. But she didn't know I had proof, not only of her theft, but of something far worse. Marcus's message was the first piece. "You'll find out," I said, pausing at the door. Emma stood resplendent in her stolen dress. Outside. The autumn air was crisp, carrying the scent of fallen leaves. I checked my watch, just enough time to make it to Marcus's office. On the drive across town I thought about how things had come to this. Emma and I had never been close. 3 years apart, we were opposites in every way that mattered. While I worked part-time jobs through college and built a career in marketing, Emma bounced between expensive schools and failed ventures, always propped up by our parents. Meeting Jason Reynolds had been her golden ticket, rich, connected, and completely taken in by her carefully crafted persona. Their whirlwind romance ended in a proposal after 6 months, and now Emma was planning the society wedding of the century, on my dime. Marcus's office was a modest suite downtown, the kind of place that didn't draw attention, perfect for his line of work. He greeted me with a folder fat with photographs and documents. "Miss Mitchell," he said, gesturing to a chair. "I think you'll find this interesting." He spread the contents across his desk: bank statements, surveillance photos, text logs, and several damning photographs. Your sister's fiancé isn't quite what he seems. I leaned forward. Jason Reynolds had secrets of his own, secrets that could destroy not just the wedding, but Emma's carefully constructed future. Are you sure about this? I asked, picking up a photo that made my stomach drop. Marcus nodded grimly. Everything's verified. The question is, what do you want to do with it? I sat back and thought of Emma in that bridal shop, so confident in her immunity from consequences. For a long time this had been about getting my money back. Now it was about teaching her a lesson she'd never forget. First, I said, I want copies of everything. Marcus handed them over. For the next hour we mapped out a plan. That evening my phone lit up with texts from Mom begging me to be reasonable, to think of the family. I ignored them and focused on organizing Marcus's findings into a case that would shatter Emma's perfect plans. The next morning an email from Emma dinged in my inbox. Dear Sarah, I know you're upset, but you're being childish about this. The money is spent, deposits paid, contracts signed. There's no going back now. Besides, once I'm married to Jason I'll have more than enough to pay you back. Just be patient and don't ruin this for everyone. Love, Emma. Her arrogance was breathtaking. She truly believed she could steal my life savings and face no consequences. That's what a lifetime of indulgence does. It convinces you the rules don't apply. I began composing a response. Dear Emma. You're right, the money is spent. But before you get too comfortable, you might want to ask Jason about his monthly trips to Vegas and about Angela. Love, Sarah. I didn't hit send. Not yet. Very soon, before vows were exchanged and toasts made, Emma would learn that her perfect life wasn't as secure as she thought. Over the next few days the wedding preparations continued at a fever pitch. Emma spared no expense, my expense, hiring caterers, florists, and a photographer to capture every ostentatious detail. The venue was a historic mansion outside the city, the guest list swelled with local celebrities and politicians. I received an invitation on cream paper with gold embossing. The irony wasn't lost on me. Are you going to RSVP? Mom asked when she called. Emma really wants you there. Oh, I'll be there, I said. I wouldn't miss it for the world. A week before the wedding I met Marcus again. He had bank records, more incriminating text messages, and surveillance photos that tied Jason to activities far darker than infidelity. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Marcus asked as I reviewed the new evidence. Once you start, there's no going back. I thought of Emma's smug face in the bridal shop and of years of taking while I worked and saved. I thought of the $78,000 that had vanished like breath in winter, and of the life I'd planned that now teetered on the edge of ruin. Yes, I said. I'm sure. Saved by her complete lack of remorse over stealing my future, I said firmly, I'm sure. She needs to learn that actions have consequences. The morning of Emma's wedding dawned bright and clear, perfect weather for a perfect day. I dressed carefully in the pale blue bridesmaid's gown she had chosen, styling my hair and makeup with meticulous precision. Everything had to appear normal. Until the right moment. The historic Reynolds estate was transformed into a fairy tale setting. White roses everywhere, crystal chandeliers hanging from the garden tent, champagne flowing freely. The cost of the flowers alone probably equaled 3 months of my salary. Sarah. Emma's voice rang out as I entered the bridal suite. She was already in her gown, surrounded by bridesmaids and makeup artists. I was worried you wouldn't show. And miss my sister's big day. I smiled, meeting her eyes in the mirror. Never. For just a moment, something like uncertainty flickered across her face. My email about Angela must have rattled her, though she'd never responded. But then her flawless bride mask slipped neatly back into place. Well, good. She turned back to her reflection. Everything has to be perfect today. Jason's entire family is here, and they're all ready. Already what? I asked. She sighed, adjusting her veil. Let's just say they have expectations. This wedding must go exactly as planned. I thought about the manila envelope in my car, about the text messages I had scheduled to send at precise intervals throughout the day. Don't worry, Emma, I said softly. Everything will go exactly as it should. The ceremony was scheduled for 4 p.m. At 2:30, while Emma posed for photos with our parents, I sent the first text to Jason. Just 3 words. I know about Angela. From across the garden, I watched his face pale as he read it. He quickly composed himself, but his eyes darted nervously, scanning the crowd. He didn't see me, I was already walking away. At 3:15, during the pre-ceremony cocktail hour, Marcus delivered an envelope to Jason's room. Inside, photos. Not all of them, just enough to prove we had evidence. Problems? I asked innocently when I found Emma alone in the bridal suite. She was pacing, her perfect dress swishing across the floor. Jason's acting strange, she said, biting her lip. He keeps checking his phone and disappearing. You haven't said anything, have you? I adjusted a flower in my bouquet. About what? The money you stole from me? Or Angela? She froze. Sarah, please don't do this. Not today. I promise I'll pay you back. Like you promised to pay back Mom and Dad for your failed boutique? Or Mark, for the startup money you borrowed last year? I stepped closer. You're not the only one who can uncover secrets, Emma. Her face hardened. You wouldn't dare ruin this. The Reynolds family would destroy you. Maybe, I whispered. But they'd destroy Jason first. And you with him. Before she could respond, our mother burst in. Emma, honey, it's almost time. Guests were seated. The string quartet played. Jason stood at the altar, looking increasingly uneasy. At 3:55, 5 minutes before the ceremony, I sent the final text, a short but devastating video. Jason's face went from pale to ashen as he watched it. Ladies and gentlemen, the wedding planner's voice rang out. Please take your seats. The ceremony is about to begin. The music swelled. Guests stood. The doors opened for Emma's grand entrance. She looked radiant, our father beaming as he walked her down the aisle. They made it halfway before Jason suddenly stepped down from the altar. I can't, he said, his voice slicing through the silence. I can't do this. Emma froze, her smile cracking. Jason, what are you? I know, he said, staring directly at her. I know about Angela. About everything. Confusion rippled across Emma's face. What? Jason, who's Angela? And then, as if on cue, a woman stood up from the middle of the guests. I am. The next few minutes were chaos. Angela, it turned out, wasn't just Jason's mistress. She was his wife. Their Vegas wedding 3 months ago had been very real, and very legal. Emma's perfect day imploded spectacularly. Shouts. Tears. Accusations. Jason's furious father had to be restrained from attacking his son. Some guests fled in embarrassment, others stayed to gawk at the drama. Through it all, I stood quietly in my bridesmaid's dress, watching Emma's carefully constructed world collapse. You, she hissed finally, spotting me through her tears. You did this. No, Emma. My voice was calm. You did this. Every choice you made, every person you stole from, every lie you told, it all led here. She lunged at me, shrieking. I'll kill you. You've ruined everything. Our father caught her, holding her back as she thrashed. Her dress tore, her makeup streaked with tears. Miss Mitchell. Marcus appeared at my elbow, briefcase in hand. Perhaps now would be a good time to discuss the financial matters. Emma went still. What, financial matters? The theft of my savings, I said coldly. The unauthorized access. The fraudulent transfers. The police are very interested in all of it. You wouldn't, she whispered. Your own sister. You stopped being my sister, I said evenly, the moment you stole my future. I nodded to Marcus. He opened his case and laid out the evidence. Bank records, receipts, screenshots of Emma accessing my accounts. Our parents' faces fell as the truth became undeniable. Oh, Emma, Mom whispered. What have you done? The aftermath was swift and brutal. The Reynolds family, already reeling from Jason's scandal, wanted nothing more to do with any of it. They whisked him away to deal with Angela privately. Emma faced criminal charges for theft and fraud. For once, our parents didn't shield her. Even the wedding vendors, unpaid and furious, began legal action of their own. Was it worth it? I asked her weeks later, visiting her at our parents' house where she'd been forced to move back in. Was one perfect day worth losing everything? She didn't answer, just stared out the window at nothing. My money was eventually returned through a court-ordered repayment plan that would take her years. The wedding vendors claimed the rest, selling off Emma's unused decorations and even her dream dress to recoup their losses. A year later, I sat in my new apartment, paid for with the savings I'd rebuilt. On my coffee table lay a wedding invitation, not Emma's this time, but mine. My fiancé was honest, hardworking, and real. Emma wasn't invited. She was still tangled in legal battles, still living with our parents, still blaming me for her downfall. She never understood that she had ruined her life herself, one selfish choice at a time. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus, who now handled my corporate security. Thought you'd want to know, Jason Reynolds just got divorced. From both wives. I smiled, thinking of karma. Emma had wanted perfection at any cost. Instead, she'd learned the true price of her lies. As I planned my own modest, meaningful and fully paid-for wedding, I finally understood what real love and family looked like, not a fairy tale built on deceit, but something true, strong, and lasting. Emma had chosen her path. Now she was living with the consequences. And me? I was finally free, building a life on my own terms, with my own honestly earned future. That was worth more than any perfect wedding day could ever buy.